Hello, everybody. Welcome to Full Throttle Business, the show where we interview local business leaders to find out what it takes to build a business that's operating full throttle. My name's Kelly Peitz. I'm the owner of ActionCOACH Central and Southeast Virginia. Today, I have Caleb Mattingly, the founder of Secure Cloud Innovations, as my guest. Today, we're going to be talking about his journey to business ownership, the challenges, best practices, and share a peek at what it's really like to build and operate a business. So, if this is your first time on the channel, be sure to subscribe and to get notifications when we drop new shows just like this one. Welcome, Caleb. I really appreciate you taking some time with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show, Kelly. I'm pretty excited to be talking with you.
Awesome. Please give us a brief overview of your background and tell us a little bit about SCI.
Yeah, so I'm a cybersecurity engineer turned entrepreneur, and yeah, ended up doing defense contracting for a while. Wanted to get into consulting and accidentally started a business through that. SCI is the business, and what we're focused on is really helping startups and small businesses get compliant in order to win bigger enterprise level deals.
To set the stage for the viewers, generally speaking, what does your current ownership structure look like? You LLC, sole proprietor, or S corp?
Yeah,
What?
Yeah, great question. We're a Virginia-based LLC, but we file as an S corp. So,
Okay, great. Um, Tell us a little bit about your role that you currently play in the business.
yeah, so I'm sole founder, although I have a spouse and she owns part of the business as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, I essentially currently do all of the sales stuff. So when I first started the business, I kind of struggled with doing the engineering work and trying to do the sales at the same time, and you run out of time so quickly when you try to do both of those. And I ended up reading a book that talked about, you want to get yourself out of that position as quickly as possible so that you can be focused in on the things that are actually going to drive the needle for your business. And so I ended up hiring like an engineering team, and they handle majority of the engineering that happens right now. I still do a lot of like customer interactions of just like talking to people, building relationships, solidifying that more. But for the most part, my job is to talk to people and tell them about what we do and see if there's interest or need and go from there.
Yeah, it's the old working in your business and working on your business thing, and most of stuff is working in your business. So when you look at your role, how many hours do you spend working, in your business, the job, the sales, things like that? How many on the business, the strategy, the planning, things like that?
I'm probably like 25, 15 right now. So about 25 hours of doing the sales calls, updating CRMs, talking with the team, doing one-on-ones and everything. And then outside of that, it's about like 15 hours on average that I would be working on the business, thinking of like new initiatives that we could do, new tools that we could be building, and talking to other like partners and everything about how we would go about driving that. So at this point, yeah, probably about 25, 15. And obviously that scales when I have more time in the week that I'm putting into the business. But yeah, probably about that ratio.
Okay, so let's move on. What makes your business special? So, who primarily does your business serve? I mean, if I were in the audience, how would I know if I was a good fit for your service?
So we primarily work with startups and nonprofits, and for the startup side, it's a different answer than the nonprofit. So I'll speak to the nonprofits real quick because that's faster. Essentially, if they're looking to get secure in some manner, and have some sort of baseline that they can test against and like actually see as a measurable amount of security that they would have. That's when they would talk to us. We would help them get set up with some sort of compliance framework that would give them that baseline. And then they can take that to their board and they can show like, hey, we're actually like safeguarding donor money as opposed to just whimsically having it and using it for the mission for sure. But like, I mean, when you're getting we have a customer that currently, raises over $350 million a year for nonprofit work. Like that's a lot of money. That makes them a huge target. They want to be able to prove that they're doing things securely. With the startup side, usually we work with SaaS products, so software as a service.
Mhm.
Anyone that's built like a software as a service tool that they want to sell to larger organizations. I'm talking like usually over 200 or over 1,000 people. Like it depends on how you define enterprise, but Especially if you get over 1,000 people, they're going to have a full security team. They're going to want to have you prove in some manner that you're actually going to handle the data of the company securely. And so the way that you do that is by using compliance frameworks. So SOC 2, ISO 27001, GDPR, HIPAA, any of those, and there's several others. If you hear those being said by your ideal customer in the sales process, they take several months to get, and what we do is we essentially do it for you. So.
Okay. Um, so what makes your business unique? Why do your customers or clients choose you over someone else?
So there's two reasons for that. One, we have a very different approach to most other organizations that do like compliance as a service. Oftentimes, there's a lot of documentation and compliance. So that's what most other companies focus in on only, right? Is doing the documentation, and then kind of project managing companies through the engineering pieces of the compliance workload. What we are is actually like a bunch of cloud security engineers that have hands-on technical experience and work within the production and development environments of majority of our customers, actually making changes there on their behalf and working as an extension of their engineering team. So that's one way that we differentiate, and we don't really know any other companies that are as hands-on as we are. Um, and then the second way that we differentiate is we're extremely relationship driven. So our goal is to see our customers succeed. It's less so to see like us succeed as the main like focus, but
Mhm.
I'm definitely of the mantra that like a rising tide raises all ships. And so seeing our customers, grow and like actually get these huge contracts, we just had one customer that closed $1.5 million worth of contracts last year, and they went from 4 people. I think they're at 7 now. So it's like it's just cool to see that growth, and we are excited by that, and people know that, and people that we talk to end up like recognizing that, and we take a very transparent approach to when we work with people. So whether we work with them or not, actually in the full sales cycle, like I'm sharing information that like people need to know regardless of if they work with us or not, and that goes a long way. And so we've
Yeah.
been told that our competitors come across as more of like used car salesmen, and that our approach is just very yeah, transparent is the word that is used the most.
Yeah, so really like an abundant mindset, right? I mean, just
Yeah.
the more the more. So what's one thing you wish more people knew about your business?
That's a good question. I feel like the fact that we're family owned and operated is pretty cool. And when I share that with people, I always emphasize the fact that, with a lot of businesses, there is the emphasis on, all right, I'm coming to collect a paycheck. I do the job that I need to do, and then I move on. But for our business, because we're family owned and operated, and because we have like I've hired friends and family, and that's who works with us, which can be very scary, right, as a business owner.
Mhm.
But in this case, it's worked really well for us, and one of the big reasons is that we have a greater desire to see the success of our team and our business and everything beyond just, all right, I'm here, I'm getting paid like a good salary, and like we move on. It's directly affects our actual community and everything, so that's been really cool.
Yeah, awesome. So this kind of leads me to the marketing piece, which is something that's really vital, to every business out there. And it's often an area that business owners struggle with, the marketing. So I'm always curious what successful businesses are doing. What percentage of your monthly sales typically are you investing back into your marketing budget?
Into marketing, we do events, and that's pretty much the only. So that's the main way that we do marketing, that and LinkedIn, like boosted posts. So we found that like if you focus in on your company page, like that's okay, but it really doesn't drive the needle at all. No, nobody like there's a saying that my father actually told me when I was younger that it's always stuck with me. Is that people don't do bit or people do business with people. They don't do business with businesses, right? Like they want to
Mhm.
have that relationship, and so what I've tried to focus in on is building a personal brand that the business can like kind of be wrapped around at the moment. Obviously that doesn't scale when you become 100 person or 300 person business. Um, because even Elon Musk has tons of marketing teams for each of his
Yeah.
companies. But like uh, in the meantime, what it's done is it's created this amazing referral pipeline. for us. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm currently tracking around 45 leads from the last like 3 weeks. So of just like talking to people and like telling them about what we do. And like I said, being transparent about it and not trying to like um, put things behind the curtain and essentially like not allow people to know what we do. You know, it's like what we
Right.
do is not terribly complicated. It's just extremely time consuming. So the real value add that we have is we take that time and we give it back to the companies that we work with. So in the marketing piece, we really try to lean into that. So I make a lot of LinkedIn posts. I boost those to a specific audience. Usually, if I spend about $1,000 on a LinkedIn post, I'm going to get like 3 to 4 leads that are
Hmm.
really solid. We'll close about two of those. So
Hmm. Okay. So, so just a couple different marketing strategies like shows and then you just using your LinkedIn and yeah, I mean, you're spot on. People are going to buy from people they know and trust, right? Know, like, and trust is one of the things that you gotta build, right?
Well, I
Um,
did. So real quick, Kelly, I did go to shows last year, but those weren't super effective. What we
mhm,
found is like we host our own like kind of boutique events. So like one thing that has really driven the needle for us is pickleball events. So uh hosting like founder only pickleball events where we get a bunch of founders together and we go, hey, we're all gonna play for a bit and that has been absolutely amazing at driving conversations, driving like relationships and even beyond like our own business, it's really great because a bunch of founders all get together and they do like some synergy stuff and end up figuring out like, oh, we could work together on this thing. Like
yeah,
we
it's
know
like a
one
networking event around, the sport. So yeah, that's
exactly.
that's that's brilliant actually, because it's such a huge thing now, pickleball, which is funny because I played it when I was in seventh grade, and in '78, but
Yeah,
people didn't know it was around back then, but it was,
it's
you
true.
know. So yeah, that's really brilliant. So what approach do you take to tracking your leads and keeping up with all that? I mean, do you have a CRM that you prefer to use?
So the past 4 years, I have not really used a CRM, and it's been I recently got a sales coach and she told me it was ridiculous and I'm losing deals because of it. And it's true, I was definitely losing deals because not following up. The follow up is so important. I'm not really a salesman by trade, right? So like doing the follow up, doing the salesy kind of stuff, always like I don't know. I've avoided that a lot in the past few years,
Hmm.
but more recently I've realized like there's a reason why salespeople do those specific things, and it's because they are effective. And so I actually in the past like 3 weeks got HubSpot set up. So I was talking to one of my customers and they were like, I was telling them about all the leads that we have coming in right now, and they were like, "How are you tracking all that?" And I said, just in my head, and they were like, that's a little crazy. And then obviously my
Yeah.
sales coach ripped into me about it and I was like, all right, I should definitely get something set up. So, and in doing so, I've already gotten like a ton of traction from companies that I'm following up with that I kind of let fall to the wayside. So,
Yeah. And how did you choose HubSpot over others?
so we use an AI note taker called Ask Elephant.
Hmm.
And it's very like sales team driven and everything. And it has a HubSpot integration. So after I get off the call, I don't even have to do a lot of the like manual data entry. It'll actually upload a lot of that into HubSpot, create like a deal for me and update, any information that was talked about on the call into the deal. So that was the main reason for automation's sake for hands off
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
work.
Excellent. So, Caleb, we spent a bunch of time focusing on the business, sharing a few of your best practices for the audience. I'd love to take a step back and dive into your journey a bit more. So, why did you choose to go into business for yourself as opposed to continue working for someone else?
Um, truthfully, I was really into golf at the time, and I was working for a defense contractor, and I was kind of bored, and I wanted to become really good at golf. And I said to my wife, I was like, I want to go find a consulting gig or a couple consulting gigs that add up to about 20 hours a week. I want to make the same amount that I'm making at 40. So I went on Upwork, which is a freelance website. I ended
Mhm.
up, just putting double what my hourly rate was at the time. And within 2 weeks, I had 90 hours worth of work that was like submitted, and they wanted me working on that. So, um, I talked to a financial advisor, and he was like, "Hey, you're young, you don't have a ton of like obligations and everything. Now's the time to take a jump like this if you really want to do it." And so, I ended up hiring a brother-in-law actually, and we started the business and. Um, Yeah, lots of ups and downs. Definitely a lot more gray hair than I was expecting to get from, starting my own thing, uh but it's been really, really great. So,
Excellent. So when you look back on the journey so far, what's been the most memorable roadblock that you were forced to overcome?
yeah, I think every single business owner that I've ever talked to, including myself, um, have the same roadblock, especially when starting out, and that's getting customers, right? Like getting customers is so difficult. You can do the work and you can be really great at doing the work, but if you don't know how to get customers, like it's just a total showstopper, and it's really, really hard to get that like sales cycle driving. And usually when you start a business, you have no idea how long your sales cycle is. So you're kind of guessing, and sometimes you're just completely oblivious that there is a sales cycle, right? That like it could take 6 months from the initial chat with somebody to actually closing a deal. And so, for us, we are in uh, a position now where we know, generally speaking, what our sales cycle will be. We also know like our ideal client profile. All of that didn't really happen for several years for us. And that's because, when we first started, I didn't really know what I wanted to be doing or focused on as a business. It was more just, I want to do hourly work and get paid for it and go do something else. But that never happened, by the way. And I also I don't golf very well at all still. So the end goal was not what ended up occurring, but this ended up turning out to be really fun because it's just figuring out a lot of things. I've learned a lot about like business and a lot of the intricacies of like even just having a W-2 versus a 1099 and what that entails.
Mhm.
There's a ton of information out there though for people that are looking to try to do this, and that like is really helpful, dealing with like how do you do payroll taxes and how do you run benefits and retention strategies for people. It's very interesting. Has nothing to do with cybersecurity. So like when I jumped into this, I had no idea I'd be learning any of that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's been good. So
Well, that's a big what we would call a blinding flash of the obvious, a BFO, that business owners, when they start their business, they know a lot about their industry, what they're going to do, but they don't know a whole lot about the business stuff, everything from the marketing to the sales to the financial mastery, all the things you have to know as a business person. And there's no shortage of information out there. I mean, with AI and everything, but so nobody really has an information problem. People have implementation problems, you know, implementing
yeah,
it.
absolutely. Absolutely. Although I will say that like even on LinkedIn, it's talked about a lot that it's very easy to get inundated with the information where and then you're not exactly sure what's right and what's wrong or what's true and what's not.
Mhm.
And so I personally believe that like a big part of business is trial and error. Like you just got to go try stuff. And that's what I think you're talking on and or touching on there, Kelly, is like the implementation piece. You just got to go try something. And then
Yeah,
if it's
you
not
have to
working,
you have to test it and you have to measure it,
yep.
right? And test or measure everything you do. So, um, well, let's fast forward a little bit and what comes next? What do you see where do you see your business in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, so I mean, at this point, we last year we 5x'd in revenue, which was awesome. This year we're on track to potentially still 5x in revenue again. So like that's kind of cool. Big question mark right now is the scaling piece because we can scale pretty aggressively customer wise with a small team. But then hiring and keeping culture as like the culture that we have right now,
Hmm.
very important, very difficult, as I've been told by many other business owners that are well ahead of me. And then building a management layer is also something that will be coming in the next 3 to 5 years, and that's something I've never done before. So, figuring that out and yeah, just walking through that is the plan. So.
Okay, excellent. So, what's been your approach to goal setting?
I've read a lot of books on this. Traction comes to mind right now and doing like quarterly goal setting and everything with kind of an overarching goal for the year. Um, at this point, my goal setting is really focused on taking into account where we're at right now as a business and seeing like what the trend has been previously, and then kind of setting a little bit higher than what the trend's been just to see if we can get there as kind of a reaching goal. But um, really it is focused in on working backwards from whatever that goal ends up being. So like I'll set like an ARR target, and then it's like, okay, to get to that ARR, I need this many customers. To get that many customers, I need to talk to this many people, and then, have this many meetings. And then to do that, I need to probably do this many LinkedIn posts, this many events, and everything through the year. And um,
So, about how many goals do you set at a time, and how do you document them, and what's the time frame of them typically?
I have a whiteboard at home that I like using, and it's essentially I write down the goals that I have, and usually for the year, and then I try to, like I said, work backwards from that. In regards to the number of goals, I don't know, like 3 to 5 is usually about where I'm shooting. I feel like if you do more than five, like it's really difficult to be consistently making progress towards each of them.
Yeah, yeah,
Even
absolutely.
even three is kind of a lot. So, um, yeah, and then breaking it down into smaller bite-sized chunks that you can see like eventually what the day-to-day needs to be in order to reach the goals that you have. That's
Yeah.
been super helpful for me. And then checklists are insanely valuable for me. Writing down like the top 5 things I need to do or top 10 things I need to do in the day, and then
Mhm.
working in that list. I think Charles Schwab actually paid someone in like the early 1900s to come into his business and take a look at it and like give feedback. And then the guy ended up saying like, "Hey, just do some checklists for a couple of months, and then like let me know how valuable you feel like that is." Charles Schwab did it, and then he ended up paying him like the equivalent of several million dollars for like that consulting tip and stuff.
Yeah.
So I really like that, and I definitely understand why that is the case. Because as business owners, especially, we get pulled in so many different directions all the time. It's
Mhm.
really difficult to stay focused. And so if you
Yeah,
have it
it's
written
really,
down,
yeah, it's easy to get pulled and start working on those things that are not urgent and not important, those little
yeah,
ankle biter things that it's minimum wage stuff somebody could do for you. Um,
yeah.
so when we think about future in business, it's important to address the topic of building a great team. You mentioned that a little bit. Um, how would you describe your leadership style in business, and has it changed at all since you started?
Mm, my leadership style. Um, I have a pretty hands-off approach to running, especially the engineering side right now. And a big part of that is setting expectations for the team very clearly, um, and then also setting like playbooks for how you're supposed to do things in a very easy, repeatable manner, so that like people know exactly what the expectations are. Like I personally really believe in that statement that people will rise or fall to the level of expectations that are set for them. And
Hmm.
so, but I also think you have to set people up for success. Like you can't just tell somebody that's never done something before, like do it perfect or do it excellently, because they don't know what excellent looks like, or they don't even know what like bad looks like. And so, um, that took a while. When I first started the business, I was pretty hands-on. I gave a lot of correction, a lot of feedback to the team. But over time, like they kind of learned that we've been documenting a lot more to make sure that as we grow, and especially because we're planning for scaling, like I said, so as we scale, we've got things documented to be able to hire people and get them trained up really quickly.
Hmm.
Um, and then have like the exact feedback of, hey, when you do this specific task, here is the step-by-step instructions. Actually, more like checklists, but the step-by-step checklist to accomplish this with excellence for the customer every single time. And so,
Yeah,
um,
that's excellent. I mean, it's developing the systems in your business. I mean, systems run businesses, period. The
yeah,
people run the systems. So, um, what's been your approach to hiring and retaining team members?
as it stands right now, it's friends and family, but I'll usually make a post or something on LinkedIn, or I'll text a couple people and I'll be like, hey, we've got this opening. Do you know anybody? Are you interested in this role? And then yeah, we never had an issue with that. So, previous colleagues that I've had, or current friends or current family, I mean, um, yeah, that's pretty much been it. And I usually try to focus in on people that I think would be good for the culture of the business, and that's like a big part of our interview process. I really believe that anybody can learn what we're doing. Like it's
Hmm.
not, like I said, it's not crazy technical. There's a lot of terms. So there is a ramp for, coming in and feeling like you're drinking from the
Yeah.
fire hose when you first start hearing all this stuff. but it's not because, you got to know calculus or something crazy. Like it's because you've just never heard the terms before and like you just got to get used to that.
Hmm.
So, hiring for culture has been absolutely the most important thing. And then talking to the team too on a regular basis to hear about like what are the things that you hate doing. And I know it's funny to like to address that, right? Like as a business owner, you kind of want everybody to be like, "No, we're enjoying it." But I personally want to know the things that people are hate doing because I want to find somebody that loves doing the things that our team hates, right? So
Hmm.
I fill gaps like that. So, we had a couple team members that said like, "We hate doing the policies, right? We hate writing policies for people." And so I went out and I found somebody that like loves writing policies, and she's great, and she has like a government policy background or something like that,
Yeah. Oh,
and legal and
great.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so like you're talking about looking at growing, scaling your business as you progress, um, what areas of training do you believe your people will need most, as you do that next 6 months to a year or whatever, based on your current business climate and where your business is heading?
You said areas of training.
Yeah.
I'm still working on instilling like a sense of accountability within the people that I anticipate being like part of that management layer that I mentioned earlier. Um, so like that's probably the only thing I could think of off the top of my head that would be something that we're planning to focus on training more on. But as it stands right now, I mean, the business is running really well, and like we've been scaling customer count, we've been scaling head count too. We just backfilled our project manager who's going out on maternity leave for 4 months, and everything's running pretty smooth at the moment. So I'm not. Uh, I guess it's one of those things where I've not been there yet, so I'm not exactly
Yeah.
sure what we're gonna need to train
So
on
kind
yet.
of what you kind of mentioned is as you scale and you grow those managers, right? Because you're going to have more team members, so you're going to have the middle managers. It's really the management training, making sure people are managing the same way, and you're making sure everybody's on board with the way you want things done.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. So hey, we've covered a lot of ground so far. So as we begin to wrap up, just a few rapid fire questions, kind of quick top of the head answers. Okay.
Sure.
What's the key to success for you?
Oh, I think honesty is extremely important.
All right. And what is one piece of advice for other business owners that you'd have?
Mm. Read a lot while you're doing it. Read a lot while you're doing it. Like that would be it. Like read, go get coaches, like talk to somebody, make sure that you're not just like in a little uh your own headspace and that's all
Yeah.
you got. Because
Man, great segue to my next quick rapid fire question. What's one book that you're reading now or you're listening to or you've read most recently?
The E-Myth Revisited was instrumental. It totally changed our business, took us on a trajectory now that like we're actually profitable and doing really great. The Mastering the Rockefeller Habits 2.0 is also really good for just understanding how a company scales. So
Mhm.
E-Myth is good for like getting off the ground, understanding what entrepreneurs go through. And even like if you're in it, understanding some of the stuff you're going through is not like unique to you. It's usually like just unique to being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Uh, Rockefeller Habits is really great for just like being able to think ahead of like how do I build the systems like you said, that really scale with the business, and then how do I make sure that when we do get to the point where we're 50, 100 people and everything that we have like a really strong culture and everything around that. So
Yeah. Before we get into the final question of the day, how can others learn more about your company and how can they get in touch?
yeah, the best way to do it would probably be LinkedIn. Looking me up on there. It's Caleb H. Mattingly, CISSP on LinkedIn. And so if you'd rather do a traditional website, it's trysci.co. So trysci.co. But yeah, we have a help form on there or contact us form. And so you can go onto there and check us out. But I'm happy to answer questions or, there's a Calendly link on my LinkedIn. So
Mhm.
happy to talk to people through that.
All right, awesome. So last question of the day. What is most inspiring to you today?
I think the most inspiring thing to me today is when I meet like bootstrap founders similar to myself who are just starting out and they don't, a lot of times they don't know a lot about like running a business or they don't know a lot about like scaling or any of that, but like they're just excited and they are passionate about the thing that they're doing. And those are the people that I know are going to be successful. Because if you're passionate about what you're doing, you're going to figure it out, right? You're going to want to make it work, right? Like instead of um, just being after the money or just being after whatever, like it's more so focused on I do a really good job with this thing, or I want to do a really good job with this thing for companies that I work with. Those are the people that like when I talk to somebody like that, I come away and it's just like, all right, let's go. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope that they're super successful. I know that they will be
Yeah.
because they
It's
got the
really
heart.
the old following your why, really following that, what your passion is and not, yeah, great. So excellent, Caleb. That great interview. You met some great nuggets there. I hope people watch this and maybe watch it twice, but that wraps up the interview. Nice job, and thanks so much for spending some time with us today.
Yeah, for sure, Kelly. Thanks for having me.